Every day, society presents us with predetermined labels and assumptions about who we should be based on our age, gender, race, background, or interests. These stereotypes are just mental shortcuts that our brains unconsciously use to categorize people and situations quickly. However, while they may feel efficient, they are fundamentally limiting and often inaccurate. The greatest obstacle to personal achievement and authentic living is not external circumstance, but rather the internalization of stereotypical expectations that constrain our potential. To live a fulfilling life, we must actively resist the pull of stereotypes and maintain unwavering belief in ourselves, regardless of what society suggests we should become. Stereotypes are oversimplified generalizations about groups of people that fail to account for individual variation and complexity. They are learned through cultural conditioning, media representation, and repeated exposure to biased narratives. What makes stereotypes particularly insidious is that they operate largely beneath our conscious awareness. We absorb them from movies, television shows, news outlets, social medias, and the everyday conversations of people around us. The problem with stereotypes is that they ignore the fundamental truth of human individuality. No two people are identical, yet stereotypes treat entire groups as though they are monolithic. A young woman interested in mathematics is assumed to be an anomaly in her gender. A man pursuing nursing is questioned about his career choice. A student from a low-income neighborhood is presumed to have limited academic potential. These assumptions are not based on evidence about the individual. They are projections of collective bias. Research in social psychology has demonstrated that stereotypes don't just reflect society's biases. They actually influence behavior and performance in measurable ways. A phenomenon called stereotype threat occurs when individuals are aware of negative stereotypes about their group and worry about confirming those stereotypes. This anxiety consumes cognitive resources, impairs working memory, and undermines performance in the very domain where the stereotype applies. For example, studies have shown that when women are reminded of gender stereotypes about mathematical ability before taking a math test, their performance declines compared to a control group. Similarly, when African American students are made aware of racial stereotypes about intellectual ability, their academic performances suffer. These findings reveal that stereotypes don't merely reflect existing differences, they actively create them through psychological burden of internalized doubt. This reality shows why believing in yourself is not merely motivational rhetoric, it is a psychological necessity. When you reject the stereotypes others try to impose on you, you free yourself from the cognitive load of managing the threat to your identity. You can direct your full mental energy toward the task at hand, rather than to worry about whether you'll confirm negative assumptions. Many people unknowingly accept the stereotypes society assigns to them and construct their identities around these false limitations. A student told repeatedly that people from their neighborhood don't succeed in college may internalize this message and not even apply. Someone discouraged from pursuing a non-traditional career path may abandon their passion before they've truly explored it. These self-imposed limits become more restrictive than any actual barrier because they prevent people from even attempting to challenge the stereotypes. Breaking free from internalized stereotypes requires conscious effort. It means asking yourself difficult questions. What beliefs do I hold about myself that come from external sources rather than from my own experience? Which of my limitations are real, and which are simply stories I've accepted from others? What would I pursue if I truly believed I could succeed? This self-examination is not about developing false confidence or denying genuine challenges. Rather, it's about separating legitimate obstacles from stereotypical assumptions. It's about recognizing that your gender, your race, your socioeconomic background, or any other characteristics do not determine your capabilities or your future. It's about understanding that success stories from your group may be underreported, not because they don't exist, but because they challenge existing narratives. Psychologists and researchers have long established that self-belief is foundational to achievement. Carol Dweck's research on growth mindset demonstrates that individuals who believe their abilities can be developed through effort rather than being fixed traits are more resilient in the face of challenges and more likely to achieve their goals. When you believe in yourself, you interpret setbacks as opportunities to improve rather than an evidence of inherent inadequacy. Conversely, when you accept stereotypical limitations, you adopt what Dweck calls a fixed mindset. You view your abilities as unchangeable, and therefore interpret difficulties as proof that you don't belong in that group. This belief becomes self-fulfilling. you invest less effort, give up more quickly, and confirm the very stereotypes that you feared. Throughout history, individuals who achieved remarkable success often did so precisely because they refused to accept the stereotypical limitations imposed on them. They believed in themselves when society doubted them. Marie Curie pursued science in an era when women were expected to remain in domestic spheres. Malala Yousafzai advocated for education for girls in an environment where this was culturally discouraged. These individuals didn't possess some special talent unavailable to others. They possessed unwavering belief in themselves and their right to pursue their ambitions despite stereotypical opposition. Rejecting stereotypes is not just an individual act, it has broader social implications. When individuals defy stereotypical expectations, they expand the range of possibilities for others who share their demographic characteristics. They demonstrate through their existence that the stereotype is false. They provide alternative narratives and role models that can inspire others to question limiting assumptions. Moreover, a society that perpetuates stereotypes loses the contributions of talented individuals who are discouraged from participating in certain domains. When women are steered away from STEM fields, society loses potential scientists and engineers. When working-class students are presumed incapable of academic excellence, society loses future leaders and innovators. When any group is stereotyped into narrow roles, everyone loses because human potential remains untapped. By believing in yourself and refusing to be confined by stereotypes, you don't just benefit yourself, you contribute to expanding possibilities for your entire community. Believing in yourself in the face of stereotypes requires more than wishful thinking. It demands deliberate action and strategy. First, seek out role models and examples of people who you share aspects of your identity with and have achieved in ways that stereotypes suggest is impossible. These examples provide evidence that the stereotypes are not universal truths. Second, develop a strong sense of your own values and goals independent of stereotypical expectations. What do you genuinely want to accomplish? What activities make you feel energized and fulfilled? Build your identity around your authentic interests and aspirations, rather than around what society expects. Third, surround yourself with people who support and believe in your potential, particularly those who actively challenge stereotypical thinking. These relationships provide emotional support and alternative perspectives that counteract stereotype threat. Fourth, recognize that setbacks and failures are not validations of stereotypes. They are normal parts of any growth process. Everyone struggles. Everyone fails at times. When you encounter difficulty, attribute it to a specific situation or your current skill level, not to your group identity or inherent capability. Finally, cultivate awareness of the stereotypes that affect you while maintaining perspective. You don't need to ignore stereotypes completely. That's impossible in a stereotyped society. Rather, acknowledge them while actively choosing not to be limited by them. The choice to believe in yourself despite stereotypes is ultimately an act of liberation. Stereotypes attempt to define your potential based on collective assumptions rather than individual capacity. They ask you to accept a predetermined place in society rather than forge your own path. But every person possesses the capacity to exceed the expectations imposed on them. Stereotypes are not accurate descriptions of groups. They are constraints that a society places on itself. By refusing to accept these constraints, you expand not only your own possibilities, but contribute to reshaping social narratives for others. You become proof that the stereotype is incomplete, that the category cannot contain the full complexity and potential of the human beings within it. The most powerful response to stereotypes is not argument or confrontation, but demonstration. It is living proof that you are more than the stereotype assigned to you. It is pursuing your goals with full commitment and determination. It is believing in yourself even when society suggests you shouldn't, and then achieving in ways that force others to reconsider their assumptions. In the end, your life is yours to define. Don't let stereotypes write your story. Believe in yourself, pursue your authentic aspirations, and show the world what becomes possible when someone dares to exceed the limitations others have imposed. If you enjoyed this video, and only if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. These scripts take a very long time to make. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a really good day.